Hello, my little dears. Settle in nice and cozy, because Grandma has a wonderful story for you tonight. It's all about a very special girl named Cinderella. Once upon a time, in a peaceful little kingdom, there lived a kind and beautiful young girl named Cinderella. She was as gentle as a songbird and had a heart overflowing with kindness. But after her dear mother passed away, her father married a proud woman who had two spoiled daughters of her own. They didn't like Cinderella's sweet nature one bit, so they made her do all the work in the house. From morning till night she was scrubbing floors, washing piles of dishes, and mending torn clothes. While her stepsisters paraded around in pretty new dresses and went to fancy parties, Cinderella wore old patched clothes and slept by the fireplace to stay warm. That's why everyone called her Cinderella, because she was always covered in cinders and ash from the hearth. But you know what? Even through all of that, she never once complained. Every morning she would smile and tell herself, kindness makes even the hardest day brighter. One sunny afternoon, a special letter arrived from the palace. The king's son, a very handsome prince, was hosting a grand royal ball, and every young lady in the kingdom was invited. Cinderella's stepsisters were beside themselves with excitement. They twirled and danced around the room, shouting, "We'll wear the most beautiful gowns and the prince will surely fall in love with us." Poor Cinderella had to help them get ready. She brushed their hair until it shone, sewed ribbons onto their dresses, and found their sparkliest jewels. When they were finally ready to leave, she quietly asked, May I go to the ball too?" Her stepmother just laughed a cold, cruel laugh. "You? In those rags? Don't be silly. You stay right here and clean the house." As the carriage rolled away, leaving her behind, Cinderella sat by the warm fireplace and finally let her tears fall. "Oh, how I wish I could go to the ball," she whispered to herself. Just then, a gentle voice asked, "Why are you crying, my dear?" Cinderella looked up, and through her tears, she saw a kind old lady with twinkling eyes and a sparkling wand. It was her fairy godmother. "Don't you worry," she said with a warm smile. "You shall go to the ball." With a flick and a swish of her wand, whoosh! Cinderella's old torn clothes melted away and turned into the most magnificent gown, shimmering with silver and gold, and on her feet appeared a pair of delicate, sparkling glass slippers. Then the fairy godmother pointed her wand at a big round pumpkin in the garden. Poof! It grew and grew into a shiny golden carriage. 6 little mice became 6 beautiful white horses. A lizard became a coachman in a smart uniform, and a plump rat became the driver. "Now off you go, my dear," said the fairy godmother. "But you must remember this one thing. The magic only lasts until the clock strikes midnight. Be sure to be home by then." Cinderella, her heart bursting with joy, thanked her fairy godmother and stepped into the carriage, riding off to the palace like a true princess. When Cinderella walked into the grand ballroom, a hush fell over the crowd. Everyone stopped and stared. They had never seen anyone so lovely. The prince himself walked straight over to her, bowed, and said, "May I have this dance?" They danced and danced all evening long, talking and laughing as if they had known each other forever. The prince was completely enchanted. He couldn't take his eyes off her. But just as they were sharing a smile, the grand clock in the tower began to strike midnight. Dong, dong, dong. Cinderella gasped, remembering her fairy godmother's warning. "Oh no, I must go," she cried. She turned and ran down the grand palace steps. In her hurry, one of her little glass slippers slipped right off her foot. The prince ran after her, but she was gone. He picked up the tiny slipper and said softly to himself, "I will find the girl who fits this slipper, for she is the one I love." The very next morning, the prince sent his royal messengers all across the kingdom with the glass slipper. Every single young woman was to try it on. They went from house to house, but the slipper didn't fit anyone. Finally, the messengers arrived at Cinderella's home. Her two stepsisters pushed and shoved to be first. They squeezed and squished, but their feet were just too big. Then Cinderella shyly stepped forward and asked, "May I try it, please?" Her stepmother sneered, but the messenger insisted. "The prince has ordered that every young lady must try." And so Cinderella sat down and slipped her foot into the glass slipper. And it fit perfectly. At that very moment her fairy godmother appeared in a shower of sparkles and with another wave of her wand turned Cinderella's old rags back into the beautiful glittering gown from the ball. The stepsisters gasped in shock. "It was you." Just then the prince himself arrived. He took Cinderella's hand, his eyes filled with love. "My heart knew it was you all along," he said with a warm smile. They were married in the grand palace, and Cinderella, true to her heart, forgave her stepmother and stepsisters, telling them kindness is the strongest magic of all. And from that day on, Cinderella lived happily ever after, surrounded by love, laughter, and a kindness that shone brighter than any crown. And the moral of our story, my little ones, is to always be kind, be patient, and believe in yourself. Your goodness will always, always shine through in the end. Sleep tight, my sweethearts. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to ask your parents to follow our channel for more bedtime stories. Good night.